Perfect. And yeah, I did just press record, so we will have this session recorded, and then I can be sure to send it out to everyone just to make sure that if you need to refer back to this information that you have that, and then anyone that wasn't able to make it will also have the recording then as well.
How's everybody's summer going? Hard to tell, because I can't see any of you.
Do you want our cameras on? I'm currently eating lunch at work right now. It's very amusing back here. So,
I was going to say, I think we're all eating.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, I know. Like busy lives then. So thanks for making time today. It's great to see some of you a little bit, or even just your name, because that's exciting too for us. Oh, there's a few of you. You can feel free to eat lunch during a meeting. I do it, and I have no qualms about it. Welcome to the life we live in. Oh, and I feel like people are sort of all over the country too, which is exciting for us to sort of be together in this space. So, all right. Do you want to share the presentation and run through the agenda, and we'll go from there, Tasha?
Yep, that sounds good. Let me do that right now.
All right.
Okay, are you all able to see the presentation?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So
Great.
yeah, if you guys, if one of you want to start off with oops, with the agenda, then we can kind of just jump in from there. I don't know if you're not able to forward on to the next slide, just let me know and I can do it too.
Okay, cool. I think, yeah, since you just have to, we'll do that. Okay. Um, okay. Okay, like I said, welcome to see you all. We have a bunch of information today, and as Susan said, keep the eye on your email for things coming from other parties as well. And, see things from so forth. But today we're going to go over course registration. I know we've hit on that before, but there's notes on financial aid, which Josh will help about. I think high level schedule, reminders about housing and Fargo, over airline and flight guidelines in case some of you have not yet purchased tickets or have questions. The Eurail path again, just to make sure we're all on the same page. I know some of you already purchased that, and that's great. We'll go over packing in a little more detail. Entry into Europe, some of the things that are good to know, sort of high level, and more will of course be coming your way in August. And then some etiquette, high level things, which are great to start practicing now in the real world. And then we'll hear about our provider and the team that's helping us on the ground. How this is all coming together, as well as more detailed information about housing. And then we have a to-do list for you all, because there's things to prepare for such a big journey. So we've sort of listed that out, and then we'll hit on some upcoming meetings. Anything else? I think, okay. Yeah. All right, we'll go to the next one.
Okay.
All right, the courses, again, we have our studio courses for architecture and landscape architecture. These are your 6 credit design courses. And then there are several seminars. So there's the urbanism seminar, which I will lead. There's the professional topics on documentation with Michael. And then the planting and design theory class, which is for landscape only. So the 2 seminars in the middle there, you can see urbanism, and then the topics. Those are available for and landscape. And then for landscape, because you have that planting design theory and research class, you may be picking one of those seminars depending on your schedule. But you can pick either. So that sort of, hopefully that answers some questions about. And then financial aid, Tasha, can I hand that over to you since you're the expert on some of those things?
Yep, absolutely. So under the to do there, um, not so much of a to do, but more so like an FYI, because I've had a couple of you email me just about like when the costs are going to be posted and things like that. So how that's going to work is the cost will be, placed on your fall semester account and then just follow the normal deadlines of how you pay off your fall semester normally. Um, so what happens with financial aid though, since this is kind of an extra thing on top of like normal tuition and course fees and things like that, financial aid actually increases the amount that you're able to take out in financial aid, based off of those numbers that we have on the website for this specific program. So you can actually take it in addition up to that total amount that this entire program is going to cost. So not even just the like the housing and those types of things. I'm talking to also if you need to use aid for like personal spending, purchasing your airfare, like any costs associated with this program can be covered by financial aid. So if you do have questions specifically about how aid is going to be dispersed or how much you need to take out in aid, Bethany in the financial aid office is going to be the one that you can reach out to about that because she can actually sit down with you, tell you what you are going to be receiving in aid, and then also, if there's any gaps that you need to be able to take out more if you need that. Um, and then below there is going to be instructions on how to make an appointment with Bethany. She does do in person, over the phone, and then also through Zoom, so you don't have to physically be in the area to meet with her. Financial aid is going to be dispersed like normal, like I said, which should be around September 10th. So you'll see that on your account as well. Spring financial aid, if you did have any left over, can be amended to help with some of those early costs like the URail pass or your flights, passport, things like that. And again, you can talk to Bethany to get that adjusted for you. And then you will always have access to the full budget of the program. The entire cost for the semester is always going to be on our website, and then it's also within your student application as well. So you can always log back in and see the full cost breakdown in there as well. And then this down here about the actual charges that will be posted to your account. We had talked with customer account services and they're still kind of like doing their updating for summer. So you can see those, like you'll see those charges posted on July 20th for that.
Great, thanks, Tasha. And Deb is still available if you have questions on advising and need some assistance, reach out sooner rather than later. And I think that's it, registry. Anything else, Michael or Susan, you want to add?
No, the only thing I'll add since we're talking about classes is that probably middle of the end of July, you'll be getting kind of a prep packet from me for the course that we're going to be doing because there's some things to do ahead of time and just so I'll connect with you all about that.
Okay. And we got a cool camera gimbal that some folks used for that class. That could be a fun toy. All right, we're gonna go to the next one. Okay, so high level schedule again. We will be, don't arrive in to Russell and Leuven, our city where we're gonna be living later than August 31st. We will meet the next day, just very sort of casually to orient ourselves, make sure everybody's got what they need and whatever else, and just sort of be together that day. So sort of a check-in. It won't be like, oh my God, we're starting class. It'll be sort of casual and just make sure that we've all sort of gotten oriented to the place we're living a little bit. And that's really sort of week one. We'll have some virtual meetings to kick off the semester. So if you are not able or do not want to be in Fargo for the semester start, that's totally something that we thought should be flexible for you, and you have to either, you can be wherever you need to be before you leave for your. Week two goes on to some orientation, getting projects going. And then we will start some of our bigger travel trips, weeks 3 through 6, and some day trips. And then there's a break, week 7, which corresponds with the October date. So that's a great week. Again, personal travel, maybe friends and family want to come over and see you. That's a really great time where they can sort of catch you where you're living, but then you could also do some traveling to places where you might be interested in. That certainly we can't cover all of Europe in 12 weeks. So, there's plenty of other places left on the continent to visit. And that's sort of an opportunity for that. Following that break, they'll really, again, focus on studio, some other sort of overnight travel trips within sort of Central and Northern Europe, and some coursework. So super fun stuff that's getting planned in there. And then weeks 12 and 13 is sort of the end of the time in Europe. You'll be wrapping up some studio things, final course travel, and returning to the States. Now, this is corresponds to the Thanksgiving holiday, like right before that. So that following week 14 is really flexible again. We'll have some remote options to join for classes on the days that classes are held. But it gives you time to say land, be with your family, travel back to the US, travel back to Fargo, those kinds of things. So you have the flexibility to join remotely that week. And then December 2nd, and the semester's a little wonky next year, just so you all know, Thanksgiving is super late.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the last Thursday of November. And there's really only a couple weeks after that that remain in the semester. So the whole semester sort of starts, in my mind, a week late and ends a week late. Probably more like half a week. But just so you know, that there is a little time between Thanksgiving and the end of the semester. We'll be here in Fargo, and we'll be sort of wrapping up some of the coursework here, and reacclimating ourselves to the life we haven't been living for 12 weeks. And those are those weeks 15, 16, and then final week 17 is 20th of December or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we late. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird here.
Yeah. So sort of anticipate that. But of course there's course travel on some days and some weekends, right? It's a very dynamic schedule that doesn't say follow the typical studio schedule or the typical schedule. Those trips mandatory part of class. Attendance is expected, of course. There are the personal weeks for travel. And there's also weekends. So there's really great things within distance and reach that are pretty simple to get to. Again, reminder about days on the ground. We have a 90-day maximum stay in Europe, and I think our trip is clocking in right around 85 right now between our required days. So make sure that as you look at the calendar, if you're planning to go early, stay late, that you're staying within those boundaries, particularly for Europe and the Schengen region. The UK is not part of it. Okay, any questions? Okay, we can go to the next one. Okay, and just to reiterate, if you do need housing at NDSU, say for the couple of weeks at the end of the semester or something in the beginning, reach out to Jason Metters. He's aware of our program and have a chat with him. and they can help you get some temporary housing on campus if needed. So that's an option. All right. Next one.
So with flights, again, because the first meeting day is September 1st, you want to make sure that you arrive no later than August 31st. And remember that when you're flying, because of the time difference, often you're leaving here on the 30th to arrive there. So just make sure you have that in mind when you're booking your flights. And again, if you go over earlier, that's fine and great too, but just make sure that you're in Leuven states. And then with leaving, the last day of class is the 21st. So please make sure you have time to pack, get to the airport. So depart no sooner than the 22nd. And then the in Leuven, the housing is available. We're checking out on the 23rd. So if you're, let's say your flight's on the 24th, you'll have to find a place to stay that evening of the 23rd before you fly out. So just keep that in mind too when booking flights, the dates that housing's available, and outside of that, there's for booking those and finding a place to stay. And like Jen mentioned on a few slides back, the first day required in studio is Monday, December 2nd. So you'll have Thanksgiving week, kind of reacclimate yourself, get settled back in, make your way back to Fargo if you're in the Minneapolis area or wherever. And like she said, give yourself time to reacclimate.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's shocking. It can be shocking.
So, any questions about that side at all? Oh, and also be aware of the airport because there's a couple different airports in that area. The airport that has the code BRU, the Zaventem Airport, that has a direct train into Leuven. So that's what you're flying to if you're flying directly in. Otherwise, if you fly in somewhere else, you'll be able to find a train to get into Leuven.
Yeah, it's just it is a little more difficult to get from the other airport. So just be aware of that. It's totally possible. Like some of the more puddle jumper trips in Europe fly out of, I can't remember the name of the other airport right now. But as you're looking, just be mindful of sort of choosing and the public transit that's available to each. And we'll walk you through at our August meeting about like, what does it look like to arrive at Zaventem? What do I do to get a train ticket? We'll like walk you through all that in detail, and tell you like how to do it. Because it's not difficult, but there's decisions to make and things to be aware of. And I've done it several times and just let you know because I figured it out. And it's a fun thing to do. So you can also just follow around share. Okay, next. Okay.
I can cover this one too. Yeah, Europass. We've covered this multiple times. Excuse me. But just make sure that you're getting that first class, probably 3-month pass if you want to figure out and do the math on if you can get shorter ones to a different pass, that's fine. But we found through researching how much travel there is, that first class 3-month pass is the most economical and will allow you to travel essentially anywhere. Again, there are some tickets that are required if you have specific places that you're going. But that will be all in the app. So you can search through that and find pretty much route any trip and it'll tell you kind of what tickets you need or if you don't need tickets and it's free with your apps. I know they're going to be collecting that information. Is that what was sent out? The international list of information.
Yeah, that will be one component, yeah, of what they'll collect.
Okay, great. So yeah, when you get those, just save that information and then Learn International will be collecting that information from you guys. so they can help us with bigger trips, things like that.
And the Eurail Pass does cover, the inner city trains, which are the trains that run between like most of the small towns in Belgium, including Brussels, and Leuven. So it really is sort of advantageous to get this unlimited pass because you may be making, well, for class, we'll be making several trips into Brussels, as well as these longer trips where we might be taking international, trains out of the larger train station. I'm not exactly sure, but it's gonna be advantageous in that way because it's covering also like some day-to-day traffic. So just know that like, I know it seems expensive, but it's worth it to have that sort of limited train ride. And then when you book your weekend trip, like, oh, I already got that covered. I can just sort of jump on this train and go, which is also like the beauty of it. You can just jump on a train, which is very different than here, right? Like it's really something that is different and really cool and flexible.
And then last reminder, just don't activate your pass yet. Make sure to do it when you get there, because when you activate it, it'll start that 3-month clock. And we don't want to do that.
Yeah, not yet. Not yet. Okay. Anything else to add? Okay. Tasha, next. Okay. Bags and packing. Here we go. Did I go over this once already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we'll make it quick. So again, you'll want a weekend bag, you'll want a personal day pack, to carry sketchbook, camera, food, water, other things that, as we're sort of touring around, something that's comfortable, something you like wearing, something that's convenient. Try it on, fill it up, and just like start dragging it around to work or the gym or out to see your friends or family or whatever. So you'll want something that gets your stuff there. You'll want sort of a medium bag for day trips. Maybe you can fit it all in that one weekend bag. Awesome. One student did that last year. He arrived with a duffel bag and I was like, where's your stuff? He's like, right here. Amazing. So different sizes for different things, main point. So investigate it, make sure it works. Backpacks are super convenient, particularly getting on and off a train.
We might be bicycling sometimes too, and from experience, having a tote bag and bicycling doesn't work very well.
True.
So backpacks.
Something, yeah, maybe an across the shoulder messenger type. I've used those work really great. Yeah, something comfortable, convenient. Everybody carries one there. We're not gonna stick out in any weird way because of it. So, yeah. All right. Next one, please.
One thing to add about the packing too, especially if you're going to be doing any personal travel, I know that usually the more budget-friendly airlines, if you are planning to travel by air, like Ryanair and stuff like that is a common one. Sometimes they have very specific requirements of how big it has to be, and weight too. So if you're planning to do those types of side trips, just make sure that you research that ahead of time so that you have the proper sizing and weight and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of the European flights, they're like, we're allowed a 50-pound bag, and theirs is 30. And they'll sometimes ding you fees for that. So yeah, double check that in any flights. That's good.
Yeah.
And knowing the difference because everything is going to be in like, kilograms or whatever there, knowing what the conversion is going to be from pounds to that,
Yeah.
is also going to be helpful for you.
Like 2.5 or something. I remember buying a lot of something at the farmer's market one day and be like, something I just got.
Yep, exactly. So
If I could just interject, because I'm heading out of the country next week and I have with a major size and weight limitation. And I can just say that Amazon has a whole bunch of like budget smaller duffel bags and stuff that actually comply with the international. So if you don't have a piece of luggage and you're looking for something, Amazon is a really good place. And I think Prime Day is in a couple weeks, so you might be able to score a deal. It's even better.
Great. Okay. next one, we'll get into a few of the, did we go for this? We did, okay, so quickly reminder on, bring things that are comfortable to wear, that you love wearing. Foundation, like things you love wearing a lot, because like you maybe don't want to bring a whole bunch of stuff, but you always want to be comfortable and have some variety. So like as you're packing, like go through the list, but really think about that. It's like, do I love wearing this? And am I super comfortable in it? And does it look, like could I go into a museum with it? I mean, museums are pretty casual these days. But sometimes some venues maybe do require a long sleeve or something like that. So it's good to have a variety of things. Super comfortable shoes. We are there in the fall. There will be some rain probably starting towards the end, because it's fall. So you do want something that might be good in a wetter condition. Also because of climate change, like there's things called cloud in some of the cities we're going to. And so rain can be quick and hard and fast, and deep. And good to have shoe that can be a little flexible that way. Of course, we try to stay out of the rain, but sometimes it just does happen quickly. So be prepared for that. And then of course, like big things to think of now are like if you have any supplies like contact lenses or meds or other things, like you're gonna want a long supply of those on hand. So just start to like acquire those things and be prepared to leave now so that it's not a rush to like try to get a lot of something before you go. Because we want you to be prepared and comfortable and have all the things you need. And my recommendation is like from one student was like, he didn't have enough socks when he left. So like, people swear by good socks. So that's why that note is there. No, triple socks to keep your feet happy. Because we do we get some steps in. And we move about and it's super exciting and it's part of that.
Laundry will be available, so you don't have to pack 90 pairs.
Yeah.
But enough, think about how often you want to do laundry. I'm a lazy laundry person. I'll go until like I really need to do laundry. But if you're somebody who does laundry every week, then it'll be good and won't have to pack as much.
Yeah, good point.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. And linens will be included in the stay, so that isn't something you need on your list.
I have a question about laundry.
Yeah.
So would you guys know if the laundry on site is like we have to like pay with like coins or if we can load a card with it with money and use that?
Yeah, it's going to be coins.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're actually considered like tokens, so it's not money per se. It is you purchase the tokens and then that's what you would put into the washing and drying machines.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep. And one other thing I will mention about like the packing and stuff, in the recording, there is some good information on how to properly pack like medicines and stuff like that, making sure they're in their original containers, having some of those backup, the backup information in case you need to purchase, medicine while you're there at pharmacies and stuff like that. So definitely refer back to that. I know most of you have probably watched that, but that's just one thing to kind of remember if you do have specific medications.
That's awesome. Thank you. Okay. As I said, we do sort of get into some of the rainier seasons. We're sort of coming in late summer, early fall. Should be super pleasant weather. Last year, we did hit a couple rainstorms in Amsterdam and super close to the sea. So actually, like there is a significant amount of rain in this region. So I'd say hope that is waterproof, over water resistant might be nice. Mine happens to like be water resistant, and sometimes I get I deal with that. But think about your comfort level. If you do get stuck, um, we can have, you can sort of have the right gear for that, and that's important. But it will get a little cooler towards the end of our trip. I don't know that we'll see snow because snow's a little less common now. Sort of doubt it. Think that happened last year? No. But depending on also where your travel will take you, like if you're gonna go to a high elevation in Switzerland, there may be some cooler temps. Or if you're gonna go to southern Italy, there may be some hotter temps. So sort of think about those things as well when you're packing, but just know that summer into fall and there will be some rain here accordingly, and it's all next one. Okay, and then a few more things on this list to think about. We've sort of put this list together of good ideas to sort of go through. If there's some electronics, I know Ben went through some things last time we met, but have some storage. I think battery or power banks are great for phones, particularly if you're running something all day or you like listening to music or watching videos on the train. A lot of trains have plugins, but also you'd be surprised some don't. So it can be hit or miss that way, and just plan ahead and you should be covered. You'll want an adapter. There's super tiny little adapters that can plug into everything in Europe. If you do plan to travel to the UK, they have a separate adapter for plugins because their stuff all runs on a different system. So just as you're out buying that, think like, where am I going and what do I need? You don't have to buy them all. Get what you need. And then, there will be some more information coming about documents and funds and other things like that. But copies of things are a good idea in case anything gets lost. I know my first trip to Europe, passport was almost stolen. Had I not recovered it from the person that stole it. So, having the backup copy is actually a good idea in case. It's always like a belt and suspenders approach on mine, so I have a copy of my passport. And then phone service is a big one, like check with your provider. Some providers can turn that on and off in minutes. But you'll want to know the cost so that you're not racking up some bills. But, just call them, talk to them. I would really recommend having that set up. Go students that have not done that and have tried to track down SIM cards in Europe have gone weeks without their phone. And that can be difficult, especially if you're used to using it every day for a lot of things. So, call the company, check in for each of those things. Any other thoughts on those items?
One other like free thing that you could take advantage of too is WhatsApp. I use WhatsApp a lot when I'm traveling abroad because it does go off of Wi-Fi, so there's that caveat about it. But you can text, you can voice call, and you can video call too. So it's a good resource to have. Obviously, you have to have the app to be able to use it. So if you use like, I don't know, like Facebook, their functions, then there's that too. But it's a good way, like if you want to keep in contact with people back home, or if other people on your program have that downloaded, then you can kind of do like message groups and stuff like that too. So WhatsApp is a good free resource that you can use if you have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I just had a call this morning on it. It was great. Video call, super easy. And we will be using it for communication. Thanks. Anything else? Okay, next one. Okay, I'll get you.
Yep, sounds good. So just some things that you'll want to note since you're going to be going to, different countries. When you're entering, you'll be entering through immigration. So oftentimes they'll just, ask you a few questions, what are you doing while in country, your purpose for travel. So this can kind of be your guideline for that. You'll be traveling as a study abroad program with a professor from a US institution, and you're entering on a tourist visa. You'll definitely have to provide your passport. And so just a little thing about that is just making sure that it is valid for at least 6 months after the return date. So hopefully at this point you all have your passports and they're all updated and everything's good to go. But that is one of the things when you're entering through immigration, they will ask you. And then they also may ask you if you have like a return ticket, whether that's a flight or a train ticket. And then they might also ask you to like verify the costs. And so you can just simply say, this is part of a study abroad program. Everything has been paid for already. I'm just entering. So a couple things in case that comes up. And then if you are traveling to countries outside of the Schengen region, you'll just need to make sure if they require some sort of visa that you have that documentation done. And that's easily accessible from any of the embassy websites. So if you're planning to go to a certain country, just go to that embassy's website and see if there is any sort of visa or extra documentation that you need to have with you. So when you do get to that immigration port, then you can just hand it over to them and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, and countries within the Schengen region can check passports. So, we end up crossing international borders quite frequently and we can sort of take it for granted, but, we'll do reminders when we're doing international travel about like, don't forget your passport, because believe me, that's happened. Unfortunately. And countries sort of can reserve the right to check passport. Which does maybe happen in some countries more than others. It's usually no big deal, but it is something to be prepared for, both like mentally and physically. Just know that it's not always passport-free travel, even though it's visa-free travel and very free and open, since the Schengen region was, what, 2000s? Early 2000s? Yeah. So it hasn't really been that long.
I have a question about that, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I know that for like in the US, like if you're going somewhere and you need like a verification of your like an ID or something, it needs to be like the physical and like the real original ID. Is that the case with this too? Or like, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yes, yeah, they will want your real passport. They'll look at the stamps. They'll look to see where you traveled, maybe where you entered Europe. They may ask you what you're doing. What are you doing? I'm a student. I'm a tourist. You know,
Yeah, the copy is good to have if you lose it, but yeah, I'll have to show you.
yeah. So it is something to sort of strategically think like, how am I going to carry this when I'm traveling? Right. So like,
And keep it dry.
yeah, that's why I think your day pack is super critical about, do you feel comfortable with it? Do you feel secure with it? How it sort of sits on your body matters, because, security and pickpocketing is a thing there, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And this is just coming up since you asked, Leah, but with your bag and as you plan how you carry things, it is. I'm happy to tell you what I do, but everybody has different needs and wants. Just try things out for yourself. Cool, thanks.
Course supplies, we've gone over this before, but just 2 sketchbooks for your course. Things like scale, drawing pencils, markers, pens, whatever you want to have, and then mediums of your choice. As Michael mentioned, he'll be sending out a document soon, so there might be extra stuff in there that he's looking for. And then your laptop. Yes, we're doing a lot of traveling and experiential things, but you will need your laptop to be doing research and working on projects. So I would recommend bringing your laptop, but that would probably stay back in Leuven most of the time. unless you like to bring it with you, and then having a smaller thing, to do sketches or whatever. I know a lot of you have iPads, which that'd be perfect to bring your laptop, leave it at Leuven and then doing additional work. And then having some type of camera, whether that's it's a high quality camera on your phone or digital camera. I actually bought it. It's a not, it's a digital camera, but it's almost like old school and it doesn't have a screen. So I'm gonna try it out, see if I like it. So I'm kind of going opposite of that, but, and then I didn't bring it with, but the book Happy Cities, make sure to get that and bring that with. 'Cause we'll be doing readings of that.
And if someone's really like looking to do some sort of heavy photography and documentation, you could speak with Lisa at the library about using one of the department cameras that are available. She's been open to those going with us in the past. But you could reach out to Lisa at the library and certainly ask that too. Great. Anything else? Michael or Susan, any others?
No, that's covered it. It covers it.
Cool. Next one. Do you want to go over these? Should I? I know I put the slide in here, but
Yeah. I mean, we covered last because we have to be aware of time and their lunch hour.
Tasha, do you want to cover any of this or should we or?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of this in the recording that I sent along too. So I mean, obviously you're going to be in a new place, so being aware of your surroundings is going to be key. I would say most of our injuries happen from cobblestone accidents. So just, being aware where you're walking, the uneven ground that you're inevitably going to come across, making sure you're looking the right way if you're in a location that has traffic that's opposite to ours. If something doesn't feel right, use your gut. A lot of the times it's going to steer you in the right direction. And I mean, there's a lot of different resources out there as far as like etiquette based off of where you're going to. So a lot of students in the past will, use a lot of the online resources, social media, things like that. So it's nice that we're so connected, with the internet and everything. So we have, oops, shoot, did it go black? Oh,
There
It's back.
okay, okay. Sorry, it just like went black and I don't know what happened. But yeah, so feel free to use the connected world to look up these different things in the places that you're going to be going. Yeah, I don't know anything else to add about that.
Yeah, and I think, we'll be traveling as a group. We have to be mindful of ourselves, but we're also the, keep an eye on the person next to you, the buddy system. Sometimes you'll be maybe with one other person, sometimes you'll be in a big group.
Sorry, Susan, the people for the tour are here.
I
Sorry.
have something to add to this too. Because etiquette is something I think that is something really to think about. I can't tell. I've spent about a year and a half of my life abroad. The value in knowing just basic information, basic communication, hello, thank you. You'll probably be corrected and say just speak English, but that goes a long ways. The other thing is to keep in mind is that as you're traveling, if you're there before we get there, while we're there, that we live in a very customer focused society in the United States. Like we're always right. Europe is not that way. It's different in every country. So just be really mindful of like you're just going to get a lot further by understanding the customs and how you interact with people in general. So I know this might be something that you've all thought about, but just stressing that it makes your experience there far more fulfilling, much more interesting, and more fun. And there's such high value in getting in conversations with people who live in Estonia or wherever you're going. And just knowing a little bit of information and doing some homework ahead of time, just like you will do for our classes, is going to make for a much better experience for sure. Even if you have a very Midwestern accent with the way you say parlez-vous English or whatever. It just goes a long ways.
Next one. There's some more.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So Learn International is the program provider that we work with. We've worked with them forever, so they definitely know their stuff. On August 7th, we're going to be having another meeting, and I'll definitely send in more information out about that. But they're actually going to be kind of leading that meeting, and they'll introduce themselves. They'll go over all of the pre-arrival information, and then they are gonna do like a more of an in-person orientation once you get there. So more to come on that. But as far as the application process, you should have at this point received an email from Learn International with that link to what you need to provide for them. So these are just some examples of the things that they're likely going to ask for that. And so just making sure that you have that information collected so then you can easily just drop that into their application. If you do have any questions about that, obviously feel free to reach out to me. I can definitely help you with that, but hopefully it should be pretty straightforward. I'm also going to be sending out an email, and we'll talk about this a little bit more with housing, but I'll be sending out in the next email to roommate requests and stuff like that. So you'll just want to make sure that you know who your roommate's going to be, and then putting that information in there so then we can also provide that to Learn International as well. Let's see. So then a little bit more about the housing. This is just a photo, obviously, of the housing outside, but this is just more information. Oh, actually, it's right here. Ha! I was like, I thought I sent that out, but yeah. So here's the rooming request link that you can, so you can fill out the rooming request, and then if you want to look more about what the accommodations look like, what they offer, and things like that, you can just feel free to check out that as well. And then these are just some of the housing amenities and then what the room offers versus what the building offers. So you will be in a twin room, and so there's two to a room. So you'll just have one other roommate with you. There's obviously a place to put your clothing and things like that in there, as well as any of these other miscellaneous wardrobe things that you need. You'll obviously have Wi-Fi access, so if you need to use it for homework or whatever you need, that's always available to you. And then there is a bathroom en suite, so it will just be a bathroom that you and your roommate share. The building itself does have laundry. It is the self-pay. You will need to have your own detergent, but you can easily pick that up at a local store. Linens and towels are provided, so you don't have to worry about taking up precious space in your luggage for that. You will have dedicated classroom and workspace, so you can always utilize that area when you're working on projects and things like that. There's a garden, so feel free to go and spend some time out there and enjoy the outside. Breakfast and lunch will be served daily. It's like a catered lunch. And those are going to be on days that you're going to be physically in Leuven, and there's actual programming scheduled for those days. And then obviously secure access, so you won't have any issues with safety and things like that either. Any questions about housing?
Oh, I have a question quick.
Yeah.
If we like wanted to clean our rooms, are the rooms like ever swept or anything, or is that something we can do?
Yes.
Maybe that's a silly question.
No, I mean you're going to be there for 3 months, right? So, yes. So I believe that they are serviced once or twice a week. I cannot remember the exact time frame on that.
If I'm not mistaken on that, I think we were told that it's actually daily service.
Okay, yep, and that totally
Okay.
could be, I can't remember, but yeah, it is serviced for you. Uh, so there will be cleaning that will happen for you as well.
Okay, sweet. Thank you.
Yep,
And I'll just
Does my audio work?
yes.
Okay, good. I have a different computer right now because mine crashed. Um, One thing too about the housing is that these are great questions for the August meeting too, as you're preparing to go and you're starting to think about those things. The people who will be doing the presentation know the housing really well. I've actually stayed there. And so it feels kind of like a cross between a dorm and a hotel, in many ways, because they are servicing the room. They have the pillows and linens and things like that. Um, and so yeah, it kind of feels like a cross between that. And then the secure access, there's like the housing wing, but then you're attached to the classroom building, and there's this cute little courtyard within the secure access area. But then it's beautiful grounds like outside the breakfast hall and or the eating hall, and things
Mhm.
like that. So
Yeah.
And then I just want to add that the dedicated classroom that we are going to have is probably on par, or actually, it's sort of next level to fourth floor of Ren. It's a super cool space in an older building and a loft, and that will be dedicated for us with nobody else using it. So you'll be able to leave your stuff in there.
All right, and then we can kind of tag team the to-dos, but um, obviously all of the communication is going to be through email, whether it's from our office or Jennifer and Brittany, or Learn International as well. So I know it's summer, but just make sure that you're watching those because a lot of important information is going to be shared through that. Including our pre-departure recording, which I did email out to you. So if you haven't watched that, please do that because there is a lot of good information in there. Obviously, it's for you. You can refer back to it as needed. Um, Learn International process, just making sure that you're getting that done as soon as possible, just so we can continue to move forward because that potentially is like a multi-step situation there. So just making sure that you're staying on top of all of the things that you need to do for them. Filling out that room request form. That's just something that we're collecting. So then I can share it with Brittany and Jennifer, and then also Learn International as well. Um, Making sure that you have that Eurail pass and your flight. Um, Making sure that you're reviewing all of these things that you kind of have to think about before you go. Anything that is specific to like the location, the housing, things like that, we will be having another meeting in August again that will go over all of that information so you can kind of know what to expect when you arrive. And then, arriving at your housing, arriving at the airport, getting to your housing, those types of things we'll go over in our next meeting then as well. Anything that you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, now is a good time. It's summer, like back up all your files and clean out your computer. So you got lots of like robust storage for all the amazing photos and things that you might be taking there. So clean house a little bit, get things organized. It feels good. And then you have space for stuff. Again, register for courses if you haven't. And then, try the WhatsApp app. You can, get online with some folks from here and check it out. And, I would recommend run through the etiquette list and just be like, oh, am I doing these things now? Am I like looking and seeing and, being really aware? And it's a great time to just start practicing those things, and sort of thinking like, how am I going through space now? Because, we're going to be doing a lot when we're traveling in new places, also like observing and learning and, you know, taking in the sight. So, you know, see, just as you're walking around, you know, wherever you happen to be now, like pretend you're a tourist and have some fun with it and see how that sort of feels and fits. Because it's a little bit of a different mindset, being like super aware because we're in new places, but also learning at the same time. So, it's fun and yeah, that's my last recommendation, I think. You have any?
Okay, and then yeah, so these are just some upcoming dates to be mindful of. So like I had mentioned, that August time frame when we meet again, it'll be through Zoom, or if you're in the area and want to go to Ren Hall, it will be there as well. And that will be kind of Learner International's meeting dedicated time to go over pre-arrival things. I don't know if you want to go over these kind of other dates too.
We'll have, well, thanks. We'll have some follow-up to that on maybe more course-related specifics about our first meeting time and place. So we'll follow up that meeting with sort of another, sort of course-specific and, other little reminders so that when we all, you know, start travel and meet, we're all comfortable, know where we're going, what we're doing, and when we'll be meeting and where. And then, you know, the start of class is noted there in late August. And then our first day in studio on, and then we've been saving information in this folder. I think we can certainly put this information there. Unless if something changes there and information will be elsewhere, we'll like, you can still go there to view past presentations. Put this PDF there as well. And then Tasha, it will be distributing the recording to anybody that wants to review it or need it.
Yep.
And I think that enough information for one.
That's it. Yep. So yeah, now any questions? Go ahead.
Brian?
When would we have a schedule kind of showing what weekends we're doing course travel?
Good question. Oh, Tasha, do you know the answer?
I do not.
Oh, sorry, I saw your box light.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
We have to confirm this yet. So as soon as we know, we'll let you know. No other questions? We covered so much so quickly and we're all good. Who's excited?
Actually,
Yeah.
I have a quick question, and I'm excited. Do we have to send our flight information to you? Is that or is that kind of like that's just completely on our own, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I don't need it. Our office doesn't need it, but it might come up in the Learn International thing. I'm not sure if that even is something that they ask for either, but
Okay.
You guys
Sounds
are
good.
scheduled to arrive. You can arrive beforehand, you know, since it is summer and things like that. There will be like a meeting day that you'll arrive in Leuven and they'll explain where and how. And so it might be that you guys have arrivals all over the place, considering it's summer. Or well, it's not quite summer, but you guys can meet remotely. And I know some of you are traveling a little bit early. So I don't believe they'll need to have that exact information, but they may also be collecting it. So that's why we're not sure about that at this point. We don't know the answer at this point, I should say.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Feeling ready? Getting there? Okay. Do you have questions?